This is a Geek Leader podcast, and I'm your host, John Rauda. This show is all about helping us grow as leaders, become better technologists, and improve our lives both at work and at home. I hope you enjoy the show and learn a lot. Welcome to a Geek Leader podcast. I'm your host, John Rauda. And if you could, please do me a favor and take a moment and leave a rating and review in whatever podcast player you're listening to this on, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, doesn't matter. I would greatly appreciate it. And that feedback really helps get other listeners to the show. Also, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And if you feel so inclined, you can go to geekleader.com/tip and donate to the show. Thanks so much. All right, Geek Leaders, today I'm honored to have Dr. Marshall Goldsmith on the show. He has been rated the number one business thinker by Thinkers 50 twice now. He's the author of multiple New York Times bestselling author, number one bestseller author multiple times. And he's got a new little gadget that we're going to talk about on his website that is really cool. And I'm not going to spoil anything right now. We'll get into that in a little bit. But anyway, with all that being said, Marshall, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It sounds like you've had some wonderful people and you've got a fun show.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a lot of fun. And again, I'm honored to have you on the show. One question that I always start off with, how did you get to where you are in your career, and what is it that you do, and why did, leadership kind of, ignite your fire?
A lot of life is luck. So basically, I was just trying to avoid reality for as many years as possible. That's why I went to get a PhD, nothing particularly grand about it. And I was in organizational behavior. It sounded easier than the other fields at the time. And I met a man named Dr. Paul Hersey. And the guy is the highest paid consultant in the world in our field at the time, just a spectacularly great teacher. And he was kind enough to let me sit in the back of his room when he gave a talk. Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting in the back of the room, I said, I want to be him when I grow up. Man, that guy's good. I mean, I had a lot of great teachers, but not in the same class as him. I said, man, that guy is good. I want to be this guy when I grow up, making a lot of money, great speaker, having fun. I want to be him. Well, yeah, I said, look, I'll sit in the back. I'll serve the coffee. I'll move the tables. You just let me sit in the back of the room and take notes. I said, no problem. Well, one day he got double booked. He said, can you do what I do? I said, I don't know. He said, I need help. Can you do this? I said, I don't know. He said, I'll pay $1,000 for a day. I was making $15,000 a year. You got to realize 47 years ago, $1,000, I was brought up poor. I mean, I'm from Kentucky. We had an outhouse the first 4 years I was in school. I was not brought up in yuppie land here. $1,000 a day, 47 years ago to a poor boy, that's a lot of money. You know what I said? I'm going to give it a shot, coach. Well, I do this program for the Metropolitan Life Insurance Company in New York. Phenomenally stuffy people. They are pissed off when I show up because I'm not him, right? Well, then I did this program. I get ranked first place of all the speakers. Why? I mean, I'm funny, have a good time. The other speakers are boring, showing slides, right? Mm-hmm. So they said, hey, we were angry. They called him up. They said, we were angry, but look, this kid came in first place. Send him again. He said, you want to do this again? Excuse the language. I used a Kentucky expression. I said, does a bear shit in the woods? Yeah, I'll do this again. That's how I got into business. How to get into coaching, same thing. I mean, I didn't start my leadership development at the bottom. Our first clients were Metropolitan Life, IBM, McKinsey. So it's not like I was starting out at the bottom here. No. Now, to be fair to me, I had to deliver the goods after he opened the door. Mm-hmm. We hadn't opened the door. There's no way I'm here. So, and I learned a lot from him. So really, if it weren't for him, there's no way I am who I am. So he really made my life. Well, I'm working with a company called Warner Lambert. So I meet the CEO. It's a drug company. They get sold to Merck or Pfizer or somebody. So anyway, this guy says, CEO said, I got this kid working for us, young, smart, dedicated, hardworking, arrogant jerk. He said, it'd be worth a fortune to me if you could change that kid's behavior. I said, remember the previous talk. I like fortunes. Fortune good. Maybe I can help this kid. I said, I think I can do it. I think I can. That came one idea. So I'll work with this kid for a year. He gets better, pay me. You don't get better, it's free. You know what he said? Sold. There was nothing called executive coaching. There was no field of executive coaching. I just made it up. Guess what? He got better and I got paid. For 45 years as a coach, I got paid nothing during the entire engagement unless my clients got better. Better not judged by me or them, but everyone around them. How to get into this business? A lot of life is luck.
Yeah. Well, they say luck is preparation when preparation meets opportunity. So I guess, you sitting in the back listening, that's you're preparing. You're getting ready.
What I did that was not luck was sitting in the back and listening, and also having the humility to recognize I'm not him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not him. And the humility to say, look, man, I'm happy to learn from you. And to say, I want to be like you when I grow up. That was what I did right. And again, obviously working.
Yeah, obviously you have to put in the work, but getting the opportunities is just pretty amazing. That just the doors just open up, and when you say your first clients, those are like those are big time.
Oh yeah, I didn't start at the bottom here. No. IBM was the most admired company in the world, and they were my biggest clients. So we're not starting at the bottom. Yeah.
Yeah. So IBM. Yeah, when I think of IBM, I always think back to Watson. There was kind of like the first AI when they had Watson on Jeopardy. And it was like. How long ago was that? That was 15, 20 years ago?
That was a long time ago. I worked in IBM in the late 70s,
mm-hmm.
Which was a long time ago. I was not even 30 years old when I started working there in the late 70s. And they were the most admired company in the world. And a very well-managed company, very professional. And you got to realize, some kid from Kentucky is like, what is going on here? And a funny story, though. So they did a program about coaching, the leaders coaching the subordinates, right? And they keep getting bad feedback. Leaders are not good at coaching, bad. So then they said, well, we'll do a training program. So they do this training program. They spent millions of dollars on this training program, teaching the leaders to be coaches. Then they did a survey again after that. Nothing got better. Complete waste of time. So they hired me to try to figure out what's going on. You gotta realize I'm a kid. 28 or something, right? I don't know what I'm doing. So I asked the subordinates, your boss is good at coaching? No. Asked the boss, your subordinate ever asked for coaching? No. Asked the subordinate, you ever asked your boss for coaching? No. I looked at the performance appraisal. You cannot make this up. I looked at the performance appraisal. The definition of a top performer was performs effectively with no need for coaching. It's insane. It was so wacky. So, the boss, how about coaching a sport? Oh, boss, I perform effectively with no need for coaching. So ridiculous. I was a kid. You know what I said to myself? Life is good. I'm a 28-year-old kid. This is the most admired company in the world. They're doing stuff this stupid. Come on, this is great. What a good life.
Yeah. I know when I think about coaching, for me, I go back to my first time being a manager, and we had to go through this leadership training. Or it wasn't called leadership training back then; it was called management training.
Okay.
And one of the things they had all the, I guess it was the executives at the company, come and give like a little 10-minute talk about the things that they learned to make you good managers. So I'm in a room with a whole bunch of managers, and these executives are talking. And every single one of them ended their talk with like, if you're interested in having a mentor or a coach, send me an email and we'll get in touch. So I sent every single one of them an email, like all 12 of them, messages saying, hey, I'm interested in a mentor. Do you think you could help me? Only one actually said yes. All the other ones said no.
One said yes, though.
One said yes. So I met with him, and he was phenomenal. It changed my whole perspective. And I was in tech, and he was in sales.
Yeah.
And, very different. But, when we met, he was, completely humble. He's like, I have no idea how to do this. I've never mentored a person in my life. I've never had coaching myself. So let's figure it out. And, and at the end of the first year, he told me he learned as much from me as I did from him. But it changed my whole perspective on the need of having someone from the outside, that's not in tech or in your role, to look at what you're doing and kind of evaluate it and give you honest feedback and transparent feedback. And that really changed my perspective.
It's a good perspective in a couple of ways. I do not understand business much at all. I mean, look, I can't be an expert on pharmaceutical companies, automobile companies, the Red Cross, ministers of United Arab Emirates and, CEOs of airport companies. I mean, there's nobody, I can't know that. I don't even read the annual reports. So, why? I don't know anything about that. Well, that doesn't mean I'm not a good coach.
Mm-hmm.
So one point is, to coach people, you don't have to be a technical expert. Number two, you mentioned a key variable for success in coaching. It's not the coach. It's the person being coached.
Mm.
Now, you mentioned I got ranked number one coach in the world for years. That's nice. Nobody knows I'm a good coach. I may or may not be a good coach. But I get one thing. I get the number one customers in the world. I coached 5 people who CEO of the Year in the United States. They are great, dedicated, hardworking people. One of the greatest guys I ever coached is Alan Mulally. Alan's the guy who turned around the Ford Motor Company. Stock went from 101 to 1840 when he was the CEO. He had a 97% approval rating from every employee in a union company. Think about that. United Auto Workers gives a CEO a 97% approval rating. That does not happen, right? Mm-hmm. So I tell Alan, I said, Alan, of all the people I coached, you improved the most. I spent the least amount of time coaching you, and you were great to start with. What should I learn about coaching from you? He said, you got one job, work with great people. You work with great people, you look like a hero. You work with people who don't care, you lose.
Yeah.
That's it. He said, as a leader, my job ain't that different. I don't build cars. I don't sell cars. We're going to have great people. He said, look, if somebody doesn't care, don't work with them. Ignore them. Go away. And that changed my life. So after that, I said, I got one job here. Just find great customers. You find as a coach, you find great customers, you win. You get the wrong people, you can be the best coach in the world. It's not going to make any difference. Wasted.
Yeah. So as a leader, let's say a manager, director, executive, how do you hire those people? How do you find the people like you're talking about to find those great, as great customers? How do you find those great employees that want to learn and want to change and want to?
Well, I'll talk about how I do it, and then really, I'm not an expert on the hiring process itself. I'm also pretty good at saying what I'm not an expert at, which is most things. I'm certainly not an expert on hiring, so I don't know the answer to that question. But in my job, people have to do things. See, everyone I coach gets feedback. Mm-hmm. They have to get feedback, or I don't work with them. 2, they have to pick things to improve. They have to follow up. They have to apologize. Everyone coach has to apologize for their sins publicly. They get up and say, I'm sorry I did this. Oh, we all screw up. That's fine. Get up and apologize. They apologize. They get feedback. They follow up. They get measured. If they don't want to do it, guess what I learned? I refuse to work with them. Mm. Why? I'm not getting paid if they don't get better anyway.
So you fire your customers.
Hey, you don't get ranked number one coach in the world by losing.
Right, yeah. I hear you.
No, I'm only playing a game I'm going to win here. I'm not playing a game I'm going to lose.
No, I like that. I like the fact that you make sure that they're putting in the effort, right? You give them things they have to do.
And by the way, it's not are people motivated to succeed. Everybody's motivated to succeed. Of course, are they motivated to do the work?
And yeah, and I think I see that in tech too. You have the people that really want to do the work, and the people that will work harder to get out of doing the work than to actually do the work.
That's right.
And I think my kids fall into that second category sometimes.
Oh, look, I was terrible as a kid. So, look, you mentioned you have a 13-year-old. When I was 14, I was the first in my class to be arrested. So, basically, there's always hope here. You never know.
Yep, absolutely. So one of the things that really excited me when the pitch came across for you to come on the show was your Marshall AI. And, I'm very interested about why you wanted to come up with something using AI to help answer questions that help people. And I know, in our other conversations, we talked a little bit about how you like to pay it forward. And I'm assuming this has something to do with that. But if you would share a little bit about your journey through the AI landscape and what is your Marshall bot?
Now, this is amazing. I'll tell you, I love this thing. My goal was to give away everything I know to as many people as I can for free. Mm-hmm. Look, I'm 75. I'm going to die anyway here. What am I saving it up for? I don't want another house or car. There's no material things going to change my life one iota. So I just want to give away everything for free. That's my kind of charity or philanthropy. I call it knowledge philanthropy.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been working on this for years with total failure, by the way. You know about computers. I tried all these computer programs and this and that and the other. I mean, and I have smart people working on it. It just went nowhere until this. So what happened is they're just a strange, lucky breaks. Now, the people that do the technology are from India. Now, India, there's a term called guru.
Mm-hmm.
Guru just means teacher in Hindi. I'm the teacher. I'm the guru. It's like I'm the guru of the founders. So what happened is they said, look, let us take your stuff. You want to give it away anyway, and we'll help you as our respect for you. We're going to help you by letting you figure out how to do it. So I was incredibly lucky. 4 things had to happen to make this work. One is you got to have a lot of content.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to do AI, you've got to have content. If you have a lot of content, it's boring. 2, I mean, I've got a ton of content. I put 3 million words into this thing, 3 million. So it's not like I haven't been feeding it a lot of content. 2 is you need to be willing to give it away. And by the way, what I love about my AI, you looked at it already, there's no trick. It's not like, well, yeah, but you pay extra, you get to go to the secret door and all that nonsense. No, it's free. It's not kind of free or sort of free or pretend to be free. It's free. There's no trick. You're not expected to buy anything. That's very unusual. I've got a lot of followers. So on LinkedIn, I have over 1.5 million followers. Well, if you don't have a lot of followers, you give everything away, nobody cares. You give everything away. Okay, who are you? It doesn't really matter. And then finally, number 4, which is most important, fractional analytics is paying for this. You got to have some really smart people to do this. So my original goal with this was this would be able to answer any question I could answer about 80% of the time as well as me, about 80% of the questions. That is gone. That is way gone. He can answer any question better than me. I'm not modest. It's the truth. He can answer any question better than me 100% of the time, and he can answer 100 times as many questions as me.
And it remembers. It remembers everything that you've ever wrote about, thought about.
Oh, it's gone way beyond that, though. Let me describe a couple of things about what's happened.
Sure.
My daughter, Kelly. Now, my daughter, Kelly, you may be too young, but my daughter, Kelly, she went to Duke. She got an undergrad at Duke, and then she went over to, she was on a TV show called Survivor Africa.
Yeah.
That was season 3. Big deal, right? And then she went to Hollywood. That didn't work out. She went back, got a PhD from Yale, and now she's a professor at Vanderbilt. Well, my daughter is trying to trick the computer bot. So my daughter says, okay, how is your coaching related to utilitarian philosophy? Thinking, ha, 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 ha. I don't even know what utilitarian philosophy is. It studies utilitarian philosophy. It studies my coaching. It figures out how utilitarian philosophy is related to my coaching. It knows me completely. And it asks itself, if Marshall Goldsmith studied what I just studied, how would he answer this question? It answers it in my voice in 5 seconds.
Oh.
It is mind-blowing.
Yeah. So let me ask you something about that, because I'm very curious. So when I go in there and I'm playing around with it and I type in a question and I get the response, I can read the response, but there's a little play button at the bottom. I play it and it plays it back in your voice.
Yeah.
When you do that and you hear yourself answer the question back, does it creep you out at all? Do you think like, it's got me spot on?
Well, I think it might if I weren't so old. I mean, for me, this is what's called a legacy project. Now, what's the definition of legacy? Being there when you're not there.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get better being there when you're not there than this. Now, I'll tell you what's coming. The first rendition was text.
Mm-hmm.
And you heard the audio version, right? That's
right,
audio.
Yeah.
The next thing is video. Oh, you're going to be able to see some bald guy with a green shirt on talking in my voice. And the third thing is already, it's going to get better, video in multiple languages. So ultimately, you're going to be able to talk to the thing in Chinese and hear me talk back in Chinese where my lips actually match the Chinese words.
That's crazy. So it's like, here's what I think is amazing about this whole project. And your great grandkids,
Yeah.
20 plus years from now, 30 years from now, can have a conversation with you.
That's it. That's it.
It's like immortality.
Sort of.
Sort of.
That was my original goal. And here's why I say sort of. It's smarter than me.
Mm.
So I really can't say they're having a conversation with me totally, because it's smarter than me.
Yeah.
And so it can answer questions better than I can.
Because it's learned about other contexts that it can add to the way that you would answer questions.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, let me tell you what I love about this. Well, many things. One, every computer bot is biased. As you know, I don't know if you saw the Gemini bot and the pictures and how that imploded and all that.
Yeah.
They have a little bias, right? They program it in with a San Francisco bias and the thing goes crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Every computer bot is biased. Let me tell you what I mean by that. If you ask a question to any computer bot, what is leadership? It gives you an answer. Okay. Why is that the right answer? It's biased. If you ask this Marshall bot, what's anything, it gives you an answer. It's biased. Here's the difference. I am the bias.
Mm.
I have a control mechanism. I can edit this. If I don't like the answer, I can change it. Yeah, I learned this from my old professor, Dr. Hersey, the guy that got me started. He said, never argue about semantics. Why? What is leadership? Okay, I say it's X. So if I disagree, well, fine, you disagree. There's 50 definitions. You just say, this is my definition. Marshall bot, these are my ideas. This is the best I could do. I'm not pretending it's perfect or best in the world. I am the bias. At least you know what the bias is.
Yeah, at least you know what you're getting, right?
Yeah, I'm the bias. Yeah. I am that bias. Yeah, which is cool. Now, by the way, the other thing, you're younger than me, but let's face it, on the cool-o-meter factor for an old man, off the charts.
It is pretty cool to be basically taking all your knowledge.
I'm 75, right? Some young guy comes to me and says, do you know anything about this artificial intelligence, this AI? I said, well, no, I don't know much, but let's ask my little friend.
Yeah. I think it's so cool that you've taken like basically your life's work, all of your knowledge, all of the you probably feed it. You're probably going to feed it this interview afterwards, so you can get more content for it and keep it growing and keep it learning, keep it getting better. That's cool. I think that's great. But you take all that information.
One thing I did also, I forgot to tell you this, is I used the other bots to train it.
How did that work?
Well, it's very interesting. So if you ask Marshall about a question, and I think it should be able to answer it, but it can't, I ask the other bots their opinion. The other bots know who I am too. So say, go to like ChatGPT or Claude or any of the others, say, okay, what would Marshall Goldsmith say about this? They'll give you an answer. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good. I take their answer, the parts I like, I put in MarshallBot. Parts I don't like, guess what? I delete over and over and over again. So I just keep doing this over and over and retraining it over and over and over again. And, when you train it, it learns things. So, it's a cool process because when I train it, it's learning. So I like it because I train it, it learns, I train it, it learns, I train it, it learns, I train it, it learns. So it's been, it's been for me just a fun process of I train it, it learns, I train it, it learns, and I train it, and it learns.
So what's been the most surprising response that you've seen? That like you read it, you think, wow, that is way better than I would have done that.
I'll give you a couple of examples.
Yeah.
And you're more of a technology. Do you know who Stephen Balaban is?
I know.
Well, he's a founder of some high-tech company, it's a very AI company. He's a very, very successful guy, brilliant guy. So he was interested in hiring me and my friend Mark Thompson to be his coaches. But then he just didn't follow up. And, I thought, well, whatever. He's busy, right? Doing some Series C or whatever you call it. So it's been like 6 months. I just kind of forgot about it. he goes to the Marshall bot. He says, look, I feel a little guilty. I was interested in hiring this guy as a coach, but I haven't followed up. He sent me emails. What should I do? He does it as a joke. Marshall bot says, oh, I understand that that's serious. These things, a lot of work. I can see why you got so busy. I think you would probably understand. Here's what I would do. He gives this. The guy ended up doing exactly what he was told. Now, he's an expert at AI.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't even believe it. He said, this is ridiculous. He just said, this is crazy time. Well, it is. It is crazy. And it's fun, though. Let's see if I can come up with it. Yeah. And, I have to say, I can't say obviously 100% of everything, but the huge majority of the time, the stuff this guy says is totally consistent with what I said. Like, you might ask a question, why are you giving everything away? At age 74, my higher purpose is to help as many people as I can have a better life while I am here on earth and after I leave. I hope that my bot can share almost everything that I know, which as many people from around the world as possible at no cost.
That is almost exactly the way you described the knowledge philanthropy at the beginning of the conversation. Yeah, that's quite amazing. It's it's like a free way to get have a conversation with you.
Yeah, well, let me tell you where I see this as the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you might say, when will I finish? Never. As long as they're willing to finance it, I'm going to keep working on this because I love it. And what happens is, this is fascinating. You can ask it very deep questions. You can ask it shallow questions, but I'm trying to program a little bit of a humanness to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like a little more of a sense of humor or life, because if you're not careful, these things are just too stuffy. So, for example, if you ask it, how many languages do you speak? You say, I can barely speak the American version of English. So, it's been fun. And it's also, here's the other interesting thing about these. Here's the interesting thing about all the chatbots that I found totally counterintuitive. They're better at deep philosophical questions than they are at factual questions, typically. I would have guessed the opposite. Let me give you an example. If you ask ChatGPT, you could go look it up. Go to ChatGPT and say, how is Marshall Goldsmith's coaching philosophy related to Buddhist philosophy? That's a deep question. I can tell you, it will give you, I might not agree with 100%, but a very good answer.
Mm-hmm.
A very good answer. If you ask it, list 20 awards that Marshall Goldsmith has won. The first 10 will be accurate. The next 5 are awards I didn't win. And the next 5 are awards don't even exist. It just makes them up.
Yeah, I've had that same experience. I asked it ChatGPT one time to describe, to write an intro for the podcast. I listened to the name of the podcast, and it said, hosted by John Rauta. Okay, got the host right. And then it said, John Rauta is a New York Times bestselling author and a Navy SEAL. I'm like, both of those things are false. Never been in the military. Never.
It just makes this stuff up.
But I think it captured the fact that I've had New York Times bestselling authors on the show and Navy SEALs on the show, so it assumed that I am that.
Not quite.
Not quite, exactly.
Oh, that's wonderful. So, basically anybody can go to this.
Mm-hmm.
All you have to do is go to marshallgoldsmith.ai. My name, Marshall, has 2 L's. marshallgoldsmith.ai. Sign in. You can use it as many times as you want for free. So far, I'm just rolling it out. I haven't really tried to get a lot of people to use it, but it's already had 67,000 questions asked already.
Yeah, and it gives you pretty thorough answers, too, I must say. I asked it a question about, how would you go about having a conversation about laying off employees? And it listed, a very detailed, very long answer, actually, about, broken it out into steps of, how to prepare yourself emotionally, how to be honest and direct, how to show empathy, offer support, give time for the person to accept the answers, follow up with the individual, reflect on how the conversation went, how to improve next time. I mean, it was very thorough about like really good advice about how you'd go through a process like that.
Well, it's interesting. That was a choice that we discussed. When originally they said we would like it to give short answers. I was against that. The problem is short answers, no matter how good they are, seem trivial. And one thing I teach in my coaching is called feed forward. This is the center part of my coaching, feed forward. I teach all my clients, you ask for input from everyone around you, you listen, you shut up, you take notes, you say thank you. You don't promise to do everything. You listen and do what you can. Buddha said only do what I teach you works for you. Doesn't work for you, it's okay, don't do it. Well, that's the philosophy behind my bot. That's why it gives you a lot of ideas. So let's say you probably got 10 or 12 ideas, right? Well, you don't have to do them all.
Right.
Let's say, in that example you gave, you only got 2 ideas that were interesting and useful. Good. You won. And by the way, how much did it cost? 0. How much time did it take? 10 seconds. Not a bad deal.
Not bad at all. Not bad at all. So you mentioned how people can get to the Marshall bot and sign in and ask questions. Again, the cool thing that I like the most about it, because I'm an auditory person, that's one of the reasons why I do a podcast, is I can just click that play button and hear the answer to me, because I have reading comprehension issues sometimes where I'll read something and I'll have to go back and read it again, and then I end up just buying the book on Audible because I didn't get it anyway. But I love that new feature, and I can't wait until the video comes out too. Once that gets done.
Now, I'm not a programmer, but I can tell you the video is a completely different bandwidth issue than audio. Audio is completely different, by the way, than text. And video is way different than audio. Also, video has way different standards than audio. Here's why. If I ask it an audio question, which I did while we were talking, right? And then I pressed a button. I pressed the button actually after the answer started printing out, which is fine. But video doesn't work that way. If you do video, the sound and your mouth have to go together perfectly. If the sound and your mouth don't go together perfectly, it's not worth doing. It's weird.
Yeah.
Just weird. It does more harm than good. So video ultimately has to be near perfect. Near perfect. So the video is a whole different technology challenge. Audio is a different technology challenge than text. Video is a different technology challenge than audio for 2 reasons. One, just producing it so it's perfect. It's not so easy. And it has to be perfectly synchronized. And then, the second, the bandwidth requirements.
Oh, yeah. I imagine the processing, too, just the encoding of taking nothing and generating it into an image and then doing 30 of those images per second to make the frame, that you're going to go through and producing that over, a 2-minute clip or whatever the clip's going to be to answer the question is quite intense and probably pretty expensive when it comes to computing power and resources.
It's huge. It's huge. So anyway, but this is great fun. This is great fun. So I feel very, very lucky to have been given the opportunity. Again, the people at Fractal Analytics are paying for this. It's free for everybody as long as they're willing to support it. I know they're going to do it for at least another year or so. So as long as they're willing to support it, I'm more than happy to do it. This is my kind of, I'd call passion project, give back project, whatever you want to call it. Just trying to do good project. And the way I look at it, maybe, it doesn't hurt anybody. I mean, all that stuff you read, I doubt you anything was negative or bad.
No, absolutely not. I haven't had, in all the questions I've asked, I haven't had any negative responses or anything I thought that's way off. I would never do that. Yeah, they're all very good sound advice.
Yeah. And again, I get to edit it. So if there was something I didn't think was good sound advice, guess what? Throw it out.
Awesome. So, Marshall, this has been a great conversation. How can people connect with you online, follow you on LinkedIn and check out the AI?
Yeah, I would say probably, on all the social media. And not that hard to find, just put my name in. But LinkedIn is the one I do the most stuff on. So on LinkedIn, I say, Now, I can't have any more connections on LinkedIn because they stop after around 50,000 or something. But I do have 1.5 million followers, and you keep having more followers on LinkedIn. So that's a great idea. I do a lot more posting on LinkedIn than I do the other social media anyway. So LinkedIn is good. Just go to LinkedIn, put my name in the search bar, Marshall Goldsmith, and, there I am. If you want to send me an email, it's very easy. Marshall, my name, Marshall at marshallgoldsmith.com. My website, which kind of sucks right now, but I'm working on it, is, marshallgoldsmith.com, www.marshallgoldsmith.com, all easy to find. Again, zillions of things. Oh, YouTube, tons of stuff on YouTube. I've got hundreds of videos on YouTube. It's all free, by the way. It's all free. And to get my books, just go to Amazon, put my name in. There's a zillion books. And so, it's pretty much all easy to find stuff. I give away as much as I can. And let's see, anything else? Oh, yeah, and if you ever come to Nashville, Tennessee, where I live, you come to Nashville, Tennessee, then we take a nice walk. I go for a walk every day. And I always invite people that listen to my shows and stuff, come to Nashville. Hundreds of people actually do. I go for a walk every day anyway. So if 2 or 3 people are there to go for a walk with me, it's always pleasant. And also, if you want to impress your friends, I have some spiffy neighbors in Nashville. One of the Rascal Flats, I have a little neighborhood of 55 people. One of my neighbors is in the Rascal Flats. Another neighbor is Keith Urban.
Oh, wow. Bunch of country stars, huh?
Oh, yeah. Who's his wife? Nicole Kidman. But who owns the house across the street? Taylor Swift.
Nice.
And I'm sure they're all bragging about me being their neighbors right now.
Probably. I'm sure they are.
So anyways, wonderful to talk with you.
Yeah, it's been a great conversation, and I'll link all that up in the show notes too at geekleader.com so people can click through and connect with you there and check out the AI. I think it's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Hope you enjoyed the show. Please go to geekleader.com to learn more about what this guest is up to. Click on their links and connect with them online. I would also greatly appreciate it if you could leave me a rating and review in Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to the show. And make sure you've subscribed if you haven't already. And if you feel so inclined, you can leave me a tip by going to geekleader.com/tip.